Peninah Aheebwa. I work as a Director Economic and National Content Monitoring with the Petroleum Authority of Uganda. I am happy to share with you the benefits that I see coming out of the sector for this country, both at macro and micro level. But before I go there, I want to share with you the drivers for these benefits, because ideally everyone should appreciate where these benefits are coming from. So the first driver, they're mainly four, according to me. The first driver is the magnitude of the investments. I'm very sure you have all heard that we are expecting an investment range of $15 billion to 17. That is direct investment in a space of 3 to 5 years. Now, this is unprecedented in this country, in just one sector, to expect that magnitude of investments. Now, that is the first key driver. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about any benefits out of this sector without those investments. Secondly, the other key driver are the attendant infrastructure projects that have been put in place, both by government and the oil companies. You have all heard the road network that is being put in place in the oil areas. And I will tell you why I wanted to start with these key drivers, because they determine a lot in terms of how much we are going to benefit. You've heard of the network of 12 tarmac roads, the second international airport in this country, to mention but a few in terms of the infrastructure in that sector. The other key driver is, as a country, we have reasonable capacity, both on the public sector side and the private sector side. On the public sector side, we are well organized to manage and to monitor and regulate this sector. So there is reasonable capacity on the public sector side to be able to be in charge. And you will see, as I will be sharing, it is because of this capacity that we have on the government side that we've been able to so far achieve a lot, and we are expecting a lot. On the private sector side as well, capacity has been built. You recall, I think in 2010, we did a study to know what is required so Ugandans can prepare. I'm happy to say that a good number of Ugandans were able to prepare, and right now they are able to participate in terms of providing goods and services and being employed. That is reasonable capacity that we are anchoring on. Fourthly, we have a fair share expected for government out of the project revenues, which was again because of good capacity on the side of government to be able to negotiate a good share for government. I can tell you there are not so many host countries that are able to have a take that we have as Uganda, which is currently around 73% in terms of take for every barrel that comes out of the ground. When you take away the costs and so on, what remains, 73%, goes to government. Now, that is a very good take on the side of government. So those are the key main drivers of the benefits that I will be talking about. Now, the benefits are divided into a number of forms. There is what we call the direct benefits, those that are coming through the fiscal regime that we have negotiated with the oil companies, the taxation regime. So the non-tax and the tax revenues, that is what we call the direct benefits. And then the indirect benefits are those that are coming through the participation of Ugandans and Ugandan enterprises through linking this sector to other sectors of the economy, through the local social and economic development, what we call the community content, and through improved investment rating for this country. Those are some of the indirect benefits. I will try and go down and give some numbers. So in terms of the direct benefits, the tax and the non-tax revenue, I can tell you there are not many countries that are able to collect tax even before they achieve first oil, but it's different with this country. From 2009, 2010 to 2022, 2023, we've been able to collect in tax and non-tax revenue close to $1.3 billion in tax and non-tax revenue. Now, this is direct from the licensed oil companies. But I can tell you right now we have over 1,200 contractors who are working on these projects, and these are also being taxed. Now that is not in the $1.3 billion that I've talked about. They're being taxed through withholding tax, payee, and so on. If you go and talk to URA, they will tell you lately their collections in those two areas have really gone up. And then in terms of the estimated annual non-tax and tax revenue before we achieve first oil every year, the estimation is around $1.7 million per year. Before we achieve first oil, you need to mark that. Now, when we achieve first oil, which is expected in 2025, again through the regime that we have negotiated with the oil companies, as government, we expect to be getting between $1 to $3 billion on an annual basis on average for the next 25 years. And that range is depending on the oil price you want to use. So those are the direct benefits that are coming through the licensees, the contractors, and the subcontractors. And the numbers I have talked about do not actually include the contractors and the subcontractors. In terms of the indirect benefits, I talked about Ugandan content, or the participation of Ugandans and Ugandan enterprises through employment, provision of goods and services, through training and capacity building, and so on. In terms of the numbers, the sector is reducing unemployment that is really rampant in this country. So far, as of end of June, the sector was employing around 12,949 people, and 94% of those are Ugandans, which is around 12,172 Ugandans already taken off the streets and you know, having meaningful employment and income. That is on employment. In terms of supply of goods and services, between 2017 and 2022, over 3,900 contracts valued at around $4.6 billion were executed by these companies. And out of that, around $1.8 billion in terms of value of contracts went to Ugandan companies. Now, in 2022 alone, around 1.2 was issued out, $1.2 billion was issued out in contracts, and out of that, close to $1 billion went to Ugandans, which is a good thing to show you that a number of Ugandans are taking on not just the low-level contracts, but meaningful contracts, and they are playing at different levels, at tier 1, that is direct with the oil companies, at subcontracting, and even through joint venture. We have a good number of Ugandans that have joint ventured with international companies, and it is our main source of technology and skills transfer. In terms of skilling and training, a number of Ugandans again have been trained in different areas, both on the government side and the private sector side. Over 200 Ugandans are qualified on the government side to manage and regulate. We have over 11,000 technicians that are required for the development phase, and over 3,000 Ugandans have been trained at professional level in the different universities. But one thing I want to say under training is that we have been able to domicile the international certification that is required by these companies to domicile it here in this economy. In addition to national content, there's a lot that I could say on national content, but in addition to that, we are looking at this sector being linked to other sectors of the economy and being a source of broad-based economic growth for this country. And so we believe a lot in sectoral linkages or linking this sector to other sectors of the economy. Studies have shown that every $1 that is directly invested in this economy, it will generate for you around $0.6 in terms of non-oil GDP. So for us who are investing between 15 and 17 directly, we expect around $9 billion is going to be added to our GDP as Uganda, even before first oil begins, before you start talking about the other revenues that are coming through taxation and so on. And so in a nutshell, the benefits to this country are enormous. They have not been seen in any other sector, and the sector is expected to be transformational even before first oil. And I want us to focus more as Ugandans on this phase before first oil. I don't like Ugandans who keep asking, when is our oil coming out? Our main focus should be in this period. I talked about the 1,200 contractors that are already in the country. Some are very huge international companies that they are multi-billion. They're bringing a lot of opportunities in terms of technology transfer, in terms of employment. As Ugandans, we need to take advantage of that opportunity. So in a nutshell, I think that is what I can talk about. Maybe the other one that I'm forgetting is the community content. We have compelled these companies to make sure what they can collect or source from within the community areas comes from there. And so the farmers in these areas, I can tell you, the sky is the limit for them in terms of supplying the foodstuffs that are required. Even the casual laborers or people who have, you know, some skill, even if it is just HSE and you're within the project areas, they are being taken on. And I think at the end of last year, over 3,000 workers on the projects were coming from within the communities. So the projects are touching this economy both at macro and at micro level. So I expect every Ugandan will be impacted positively, directly and indirectly. Now, to consider to invest in the sector, it really depends whether you're in Uganda or you're not in Uganda. If you're not in, whether you're in Uganda or you're not in Uganda, first of all, the first entry is the National Supplier Database. You need to register on the National Supplier Database. It is free, it is quick, it is done online. That is your first entry. If you're a non-Ugandan, you can choose to come and domicile in this country. And there are services that you can take on that are not ring-fenced for Ugandans. But for Ugandans, I think the low-hanging fruits after registering on the National Supplier Database, the low-hanging fruits for Ugandans are the 16 services that are ring-fenced for Ugandans within the legal framework. They include civil works, and right now there's a lot of civil works, especially on the pipeline, and most of these opportunities are going to be advertised. So you either go alone or you look for a partner on the National Supplier Database, enter into a joint venture. A joint venture is very useful in terms of combining technical capacity but also financial capacity. So if you're a Ugandan and you're interested in any of these 16 services, but you feel you don't have the expertise, you don't have the money or the capital that may be required, you just go on the NSD, look up a potential joint venture partner, formalize. It has to be approved by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda, have it approved, and then you launch in and look out for the opportunities that are enormous. So whether you're a foreigner or you're a Ugandan, the opportunities are enormous. We are encouraging even those foreigners that have contracts to come and domicile in the country and perform these activities from within the country. So the first step is to register on the NSD. For Ugandans, the low-hanging fruits are the 16, but you have an opportunity to be subcontracted if you can't go alone. You have an opportunity to enter into a joint venture. Still, that will help if you can't go alone, and that will help you in terms of technology and skills transfer. We need to take advantage of this 90-day campaign because it comes with a lot of information. We know that information is power, but you can get information and you do not utilize it. At the end of the day, it won't be power. But this is coming with a lot of information on the opportunities and how you can take advantage of these opportunities. So I would urge you to actively participate in these engagements. Take the information seriously. Like I said before, the first step is to register on the NSD. It's very easy. Look out for partners in terms of joint ventures. Look out for subcontracting that is going to be, that are all over in the papers every other day. For Ugandans that are looking for opportunities to be employed, we have put for you a platform, the National Oil and Gas Talent Register. Register your talent in there so you can be visible here in Uganda and out of Uganda. I want to thank the Chamber for organizing this. I think it is a good thing to create visibility in terms of the opportunities, but also to create awareness among Ugandans and even non-Ugandans, because we want as many as foreigners to come in and broaden our economy, our tax base, so we can grow as an economy.